Hello and thank you for watching today. This is Sean Dement with Photo Solutions Market, and today we're going to be talking about one of the Next designs from the new Next series, and this is the Eagle collection. This collection can come in a full collection, or you can buy these all individually. We'll go through those templates real quick here before we get into the actual demo, showing you how to change colors and move things around and how they work. But to go through those, we have our team. And just before we go any farther, if you haven't watched any of the new Next series yet, you'll notice that they have these guides. And right here, this template is a normal 2:3 ratio template, which means it's a 20 by 30 at 300 DPI. But if you keep all of your valuable things in here, for example, your team and your name and everything within these two guides, you can print this out as an 8 by 10. Or 16 by 20 or anything that's a 4:5 ratio, but you must keep everything inside your guides. If you don't see these guides when you turn on the Photoshop template, make sure you go turn on your guides by going to your view and turn on guides. That's for both Photoshop and Elements. Make sure that you have your guides on so that you see the guides if you are going to be using this template for an 8 by 10. So to keep going, we also have our panoramic memory mate. We have our team panoramic. We have our horizontal memory mate, and again you see those guides in there. So if you are going to be printing this as an 8 by 10 memory mate, keep everything that you want inside of these two guides, and you go to print. You simply just go to your crop tool and you would put in the size that you want to print. And you can see that those guides line right up. So what we'd want to do here is move the name in a little bit so that we don't lose it. Maybe move her over a little bit so we don't lose it before we crop. And then you can crop that and save it and print as an 8 by 10. Or you can simply submit that as an 8 by 10 and your lab should crop in. But if you want to just make sure, you can always crop in like that. So we'll move on. We've also got our vertical individual. And we also have our vertical memory mate. And the vertical memory mate is going to be the one that we're going to be demoing today. All of the stuff that we're going to do to the vertical memory mate, the way that we change colors and move things around, are going to be global through this entire set. So everything that I do in this demonstration is going to be able to be applied to any of those other designs that we showed. So we'll go ahead and get started in that right now. So the template that we're going to be using, again, like I said, is going to be the vertical memory mate. Now, obviously, it's not an 8 by 10 right now, but we're going to build this as an 8 by 10 using these inside crop lines. On the vertical templates, you're also going to see a second guide on the top and bottom. This is for a 5 by 7 ratio. So if you wanted to print this as a 5 by 7 instead of an 8 by 10, make sure you keep everything inside your 5 by 7s. And that's how that works. So, alright, so what we got is we have our team here, we've got cut out, and we've got our individual. You can see we're going to be changing this color over to blue and gray. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is start with our team. Always start with your team first, because your team is going to delegate how this works, and you'll see in just a second what I'm talking about. We'll go ahead and transform this in and put our team down here at the bottom. Again, we're going to be doing this as an 8 by 10 right now. So I'm going to keep everything inside these lines. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and move down our name so that it's down here a little bit lower, like it was supposed to be with that. And let's go ahead and find our next layer. So we'll go ahead and find our player layer and select that. Go ahead and find our player and drag and drop that player directly into the template, and that will put it in the player layer. And we'll go ahead and size that to where we want it, remembering that we are going to stay in the 8 by 10 for this example. Alright, we'll go ahead and put him right there so he's not all the way to the top, but he's right where we want him to be. And you can either use a layer mask or just use a large paintbrush for an eraser and just erase up. Now obviously Photoshop experts will tell you that this is not the right way to do it because it's a destructive way. Using a layer mask would be much more efficient, but again, it would take a little bit longer than that. But anyway, for the quickness, we're going to use that kind of thing. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and start changing things. To change the colors on this template, we just come down. We only have a couple things we need to change. The first is our color fog in the background, and we're going to go ahead and double click on color overlay, and that's going to bring up our overlay color. We'll go ahead and change that to our blue. If you have the color code for your team, I would advise using that rather than doing what I'm doing, which is just guessing. So we'll just go ahead and choose that for quickness. That changed the whole background to blue. Now we need to change the graphic in the background, and this has a couple of different things done to it. So in your effects layers, we'll go ahead and double click on our bevel and emboss, and you'll notice that we are good here. There aren't any colors that we have to do, so we'll just go down the list. So our stroke is white, we're still good there. Our inner shadow is black, we're still good there. Here's where our color is. Our inner shadow, our inner glow is orange, so we're going to go ahead and change orange to blue. And we'll come down to our drop shadow. That is also black, so we don't need to change that. So go ahead and hit OK. And we're good there. Now what that did was change the effects. Now we need to change the color of the inside of the shape. Because this is an actual shape, we'll just double click on our shape, and you can see that this was a dark red. So we're going to change that to the color that we want it to be. We're going to go and change that. Let's see if we like the gray. You can have it gray, and that's how it's going to look there. Or if we wanted to make it blue, we could also make it blue. But I think in this, the dark gray, or just the dark color, is a really good look there. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so now to change the color of the text, obviously that's orange. This is actually just a text color. So we'll just click on the text, change that over to blue. And we'll do the same thing with the first name. It is a text color. Change that over to blue as well. And then changing the names is simple as just either double clicking on the text icon, which would highlight the text, and we'll go ahead and change his name. And we'll go ahead and show you the other way, which is just using the font text tool, going ahead and highlighting the last name Harris, and we'll just extend it out and make it a little longer here for an example. And you can see it went off the chart there, so we're just going to go ahead and grab that and bring it in as well. And you may notice that these have different colors as well. The inside here we have an inner glow, and if you want to change the color on that, that is where you would change that. And then changing the number, he's 29, so we'll just change that number by double clicking on the layer, 29. And then we can also select varsity volleyball, and we'll just go ahead and double click, highlight only volleyball, and we'll change that to football. And you may have a longer name, and if you do, you'll notice that there's spacing in between the text. And that is up here in your spacing between letters. So if you wanted that to be wider, let's change that to 500 and see what happens. You see it makes it wider. If you want it to be shorter, just make it shorter. We'll go to 100. So you can really change that and make it the way you want it to fit. The next one is the Eagles. Obviously these guys are the Bucks. And you notice that's not wide enough, so we're just going to do a free transform on that after we applied the text change and just stretch it out. Okay, now at this point we have gotten to the point where we have everything inside for an 8x10, and if you wanted to keep the point of this in here, you could just drag that down and keep it in there as well, just like that. And you can also free transform this as well if you wanted to maybe bring those back up. You could do that. So at this point, if you wanted to, you could just save this out and print it, but if you want to be real safe about it, what you can do is go ahead and come over to your crop tool like we showed before, type in the dimensions 16 by 20, which would be a 4:5 ratio. Go ahead and apply that. And there we go. We have our 8:10 ratio. We can print that as an 8:10 or whatever we want. So that is pretty much how you use all of the functions and changing the colors and everything when it comes to the new Eagle edition of the next series. Again, this is available at photosolutionsmarket.com. And I thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of me at photosolutionsmarket.com. Again, my name is Sean Dement. Have a great day. Stay creative.